All right. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. This is Rob here at Smirking Gun Reviews. And that was one of the most powerful episodes of television I just watched. Um, it was really hard. And that's why I did what I did here for the intro. And I hope that it doesn't upset anybody. And I don't want anybody to think that I'm pandering or anything like that. Because what this episode, this episode was about a lot of things, but what happened in Tulsa in 1921 is something that's not known by a lot of people in this country anymore. And the people who did know, a lot of people who did know, probably don't want you to know what happened there. This is not an unknown topic on HBO. They covered it extensively in the last show that was it was Watchmen, about a year ago now, right? And I'm glad that they're making this event, this moment in this shame of this nation that happened there in 1921 in Tulsa. Um, what is going on with my PlayStation? um, Whenever things are going really well for people of color in this country, and Tulsa's the really good example. I don't know what it is about white people and the white supremacists, regular people that you would think are just regular people, that come out and freak out and think that every challenge, every success by someone else is a threat to their success, to their well-being, to their longevity, to their future. And they feel like they've got to check black privilege or anyone else's privilege. I feel like white supremacists are afraid to let up on the whole manifest destiny thing. Because the history in this country is we killed so many people to get to where we are right now that it's basically created like a permanent paranoia, waiting, like these people are so afraid of what to think of what everybody in this, all their ancestors have done to get to where we are. It's like there's this fear that someone's coming to take it from them, no matter what. Like it doesn't even exist, but they feel it. It's this almost like an insane version of guilt that just comes out even more as hate. Now I know there's just hate, and there's just some people just hate, but I try to wrap my head around this kind of behavior. Maybe I'm making excuses. Maybe I'm trying to rationalize horrible behavior by bringing up the way that people behaved in the past, and that could that have any psychological effect on people? Or is it just plain hate? This was a very hard episode to watch because as amazing as it was, it's and it was this incredible story and powerful story. And I'm glad that they make this climax of this episode make you face this what happened there. And it was a toned down version of it. I was really more worried that I was going to have to watch even worse. And how could it even be worse than that, what we saw? Now, that was like my real piece about that. I mean, we're going to still cover a lot of stuff. And I'm sorry if puts people off, me talking like this. But people have to say these things. This show is special. This show is important. This is not just entertainment. And I almost said it's HBO. And I did, but this kind of stuff makes people uncomfortable. And I say that when it makes people uncomfortable, it's because you're getting too close to the truth. So anyway, I want to thank everybody that chooses to watch my reviews, because I know that there's a bunch of them that drop right away. But I also want to thank some of my commenters, because you guys in the comment section have been so amazing. So amazing. You guys bring so much extra research and knowledge, and I've said this before, all the history that you guys look up, that you guys inform me about, all the little Easter eggs and the history behind them. I want y'all to know how much I appreciate all that help. And just in general knowledge makes us all smarter. Everybody who reads those comments. And how you guys run to defend each other and push away the hate out of the comment section. Because this show does bring out people that don't get it. There's some people that try to get it and they don't become hateful about it, but it shows what we can do. It shows what we're capable of. But I want to point out just name a few commenters. Nicole Haddon, KK, little K's, little F, little C, FC. There's for some reason a lot of initials on YouTube. KB and the Richard Cheney, you guys have all been awesome in the comment section. And a lot of you, if I haven't mentioned you, it's not personal. You guys are all great. I also want to bring up that anybody who watches these that looks at my video the way it looks, it's because my computer is too slow to run any higher than 360p. Hopefully, what we're working on is getting a stronger laptop by the end of this month or the first week of November. One that will actually allow me to run in full HD. So stick around the channel. Better ways of looking at things are coming. I did get new lights, and those are making an improvement. I haven't used them for this because they're hard to set up and take down. But let's just get into the rest of this episode, okay? Because I've already talked for 7 minutes. I did not talk about Jada Harris, though, last week. Jada Harris was the bomb in last week's episode. She was so amazing as Diana Freeman. She's been good all the whole season, but that last episode was her time to shine, and I forgot to mention her by name. That she was really great. There's so much greatness in this show. There's so many things that this show throws at you. It's so hard to keep track of. And again, that's why the comment section is so great. You guys reminded me of her name. So kudos again to this. Now this episode, I mean, this was like the most terrifying, can you imagine if Back to the Future was like this? Like if Marty went back to 1955 and this was what they had to go back to instead of just trying to get his mom and dad back together. Now that's white privilege. Right there. Time travel for white people. I just gotta make sure I'm born. In this, they're looking for a book of names to keep people alive. A whole lot of people alive. You know, this Christina is she's not messing around with her magic. And that's where we open up, right? The music also in this episode, right? There wasn't a lot of really any music. There was a score, and the score in this episode was freaking phenomenal. I also didn't mention that this episode's called Rewind 1921. Sorry. I got a lot flying in my brain right now, and I'm trying to keep it all straight now, even though I got notes, as usual. I got a couple of pages of notes here. But at the beginning of this, we're trying to figure out how to fix Diana. No, she did not die. I saw some people that thought she actually died. She didn't die. But she might as well be. Because the pages that they were going to use to save her, well, unfortunately, Leti has to tell everybody that Christina's already got them. And she used them to give Leti a protection spell, which does not sit well with Montrose. There's a lot of infighting here at the beginning, and it's reasonable. Everybody has a reasonable argument here. It's no good for anybody. But here's the thing, I remember, and if you're not watching the channel Always Watching, where she reviews this too, she brought up a really great point, and go check out and subscribe to Always Watching. She's phenomenal. Um, why didn't anybody go looking for Diana that whole episode? That was something I probably was thinking about, but just never thought like that hard about. But she gave it a lot of thought, and it's true. Everybody was so far up their own asses about what they're doing, they forgot to protect the one who's in the most danger, the children. They're Diana, and now she's laying there because they failed. And now with Christina having the pages, what do? And Montrose is, Christina is told that, they're told that she'll help because Ruby says she'll help. But, they need the Book of Names, but all they can really do is a reset because Hippolyta's not there. Without the Book of Names, they can't fix it. All they can do is reset it. And Hippolyta's gone. She's still off in the future, which was just so amazing still. I still gotta say that was such a great episode. All these episodes are. But now it's up to Montrose to be the one who's the next, bloodline, in the bloodline. But we do get confirmation, almost, basically, that from Montrose to Atticus, that George might be your father. And, yeah, for a lot of people that thought this was happening, it's what's happening. I mean, I speculate a lot. I like to go down a lot of rabbit holes, but it was the thing that made the most sense. I'm not going to, so a lot of you guys are vindicated right away. I mean, they don't specifically just say it's true, but it's probably true. But what makes a father? That's one of the things that's about this episode. Is, just because... I can't believe I just thought of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. He might have been, your father, but I was your daddy, or whatever, as Yondu says. Sorry. But Christina says that I'll help only if Atticus comes back with Christina to Artem for the autumnal equinox. And when confronted with this by Ruby, who's trying to get, Leti to just come with, like, stay away from these men. These men want to hurt you. Letty's back at her, like, you know what she wants to do, right? You know that if he has to go there of his own free will, it can't be good for him. And it comes out, too. Ruby confronts her, says, is this going to kill him? She's like, well, I need to all his blood for this immortality spell. So, yep. And I love how Ruby stands her ground, but also still stays. She's on her own path. She's becoming she's making her choices. Do I agree with them? I don't know. That one's a really... But we also get the great moment of Christina. How does she help? Well, we find out that the cops, the sheriff or whatever, he did survive, sort of, the attack by the monster. How did he survive? Well, just another great moment of horrifying American history from white people. They've been kidnapping more black people, cutting them into pieces, and using their parts to replace the sheriff's parts. Except they were all killed in vain because the spell won't take, and his wounds keep coming back. And so they've just been murdering people for no reason. Because nobody cares. Sorry, it's just... But the surprise is on the sheriff, because Christina shows up as William. They're all freaked out because they're looking at a ghost. And she's got the thing that kills him. She had that, what was put in the office that, she wanted 1,000 deaths for him, but she'd have to settle for the one. Because she says that every time I change back from William to myself, he dies all over again. And that's pretty powerful stuff. But the thing is, I always keep having to remind myself is Christina wants to be immortal for her own reasons. And just to be immortal because your daddy said you can't because you're a woman. Look, if she could get immortal any other way than killing more people, then I'd say fine. But she's doing it and she's killing more people for her own reasons. And it doesn't matter. It wouldn't matter if Atticus was brown, white, red, green, purple. She would be doing it. So the fact that she's killing people so she can have her own power, honestly, I could give a shit. It's just more killing. But it is a pretty powerful scene. Almost every scene in this episode is amazingly powerful. All of a sudden, Hippolyta shows up. I was like floored. I was floored. I was just like, where the fuck did she come from? She's just there. I mean, she was like a flying space wizard or whatever. she was Dr. Manhattan. Basically, she came back. I mean, I said, damn, she was truly cosmic. We find out that the name of the groundskeeper was Dell, not racist dog keeper. That's just a little thing I needed to remember for myself. But they have to go back to Tulsa. They need to go to the observatory in Kentucky, where it's a multiverse machine. That multiverse is really getting around, everybody. Fix it, go back to Tulsa, and get the book of names. She just comes in there with that plan like, bam. Using her infinite wisdom while she lays down the knowledge that she was on Earth 504 for like over 200 years? Question mark in my brain. So she's like a celestial and shit. All comic book people know what I'm talking about. So they go there, and Hippolyta basically becomes her own motherboard to open up a portal to 1921, the night before the massacre started. The day before the massacre started. The day of, I guess you could say. And they're not supposed to change anything. Hence, like the Back to the Future kind of references. You change anything, you mess up the future. People won't exist, all that stuff. Depends on what kind of time rules you follow, like you want to follow. Everything's got their own rules. Again, I always go back to this, what Banner says in Avengers Endgame. It's time travel, man. It's either all of it's a joke or none of it is. So they jump in there. You also find out that his whole family, Montrose's whole family burned alive while they were there. So I was like, well, that's not something to look forward to at the end of this episode, and that's what we get. That's what happens. And I was like, watching this, I was like watching him, Montrose get beat because he was gay, and the cycle of abuse starting there. Probably his dad did it, and his dad did it, and his dad did it, and his dad did it. Except he's getting beat because his dad knows he's a homosexual. And this reenactment that I knew we were going to get to. I hope it didn't. I have a feeling it had to have triggered a few people, and it sucks. But I hope that a lot more people watched it and understood the importance of not forgetting the past. And I know it's cliche, but those who forget the past are doomed to repeat it. And if you look at the world right now, they don't want you to remember this stuff, guys. It's up to you to look it up, to look up your own history, because no one's going to teach it to you. It's up to people that know this history to keep it alive. But Leti ends up in that house. And that's where I was like, no, but I forgot she can't be hurt right now. But she has to witness everything that happens going around her. And I loved, it was tragic, but I love the fact that she's not trying to change things. I mean, we even have Montrose, right? Atticus goes after him because he thinks he's going to try to save Uncle George. He's going to try to blow it. But he's not there for George, he says. He's there for Thomas, the boy he was in love with. The boy he was in love with when they were beat up, and that boy was shot in the head. And he's there to save him. Because the last moments of his life was Montrose rejecting him because he was gay. Saying, you're gay. That's not what he used, but I'm not saying it. Hate that because everybody knows that I'm thinking it. But you know how horrible it has to feel to be there and sit there and watch people die that you know are about to die horribly, and knowing that your friend that you just his last moments of his life is going to be about rejection for who he is, and fear about people rolling up on you with a gun. That's no way to go for anybody, man. So while this is happening, Atticus and Montrose are having that talk in the alley about the genealogy and all that, about who's his daddy, and explaining everything about that, and saying that all I ever wanted to be is your father, so it can't change. But he stops himself still. He watches it happen again. Because I was like, yeah, that's a really nice sentiment, but just bad logically. But I don't know. Would anybody be able to stop themselves? Because Atticus is saying, if this happens, it changes. I'm not born. My son's not born. All this stuff happens or doesn't happen. And then you have Leti proving to the matriarch of the family that she's from the future. Which, fine, it's a thing she accepts. They don't really have time to argue right now, And when she says, this is where we die, don't we? We die here, don't we? And that kind of sad acceptance. That's rough, man. That sounds so weak. That's rough, man. Sorry you're all gonna burn to death. But that actress, and I was really, somebody in the comment section, please, I know I can count on you guys to tell me who she is, because I know who that is. She's a really good actress. But she's also got on a lot of like her hair and everything makes her look older. I mean, she is older, but it was bugging me the whole time who she was and as an actress. Talking about when my grandson is born, it'll be faith turned flesh. And I'm not a big believer in all that kind of stuff, but it was a nice sentiment. And we find out that the mysterious stranger who saved Montrose all those years ago, who ran up like a bat out of hell to save Montrose and George and from the mob with a baseball bat, swinging it like Jackie Robinson, turned out to be Atticus. It was an amazing moment that when they both realized what it was. It was amazing and satisfying to watch Atticus beat the ever-living hell out of a bunch of racists. It never gets old. I could watch that. I could watch that as a meme all day long. Just whooping some white cracker asses. Sorry. And then we have that voiceover. And again, always the end of these episodes with either voiceovers of poetry, songs, just this like more spoken word, and where is your fire? It's so powerful watching this scene of Atticus, saving George and Montrose, while you watch Leti in the house on fire. Literally, she's burning alive in her hands as she holds the book of names. So it's like they're saying where is your fire, as these two are together in the fire as the place comes down around them. And it's just really powerful stuff, guys. And we end it with there's something wrong with the portal, and Hippolyta can't keep it open. She's like foaming at the mouth and everything, and Montrose looking out the window at everything, reliving everybody's deaths, talking about this was that guy, peg leg so and so's last stand, and one of the best surgeons in America shot in the face, as you see the bombs dropping from the biplanes and Leti walking slowly through them untouched. It's just powerful stuff. And then, not to get all silly at the end here, but like Hippolyta just goes Super Saiyan on this shit. She literally rises up like, oh, her hair changes color. Don't tell me that wasn't like Super Saiyan, okay? I'm just saying. She's using enough power to keep the portal open so that Leti and Montrose can jump through with the book at the end. And that's the end. And it's a lot to think about. This episode's a lot to think about. And I just want to leave everybody with, don't let people let us forget history. Because if you think Tulsa was like the biggest thing or whatever, do more digging. See what else has gone on, because there's a lot of bad things that happened to African Americans and Native Americans and Latino Americans and everybody else under the sun. They're not going to teach you this in history. You have to do it yourself. I say this all the time. Nobody's coming to save us. We have to save ourselves. We have to save ourselves so we can save each other. And when you forget history, it's just another way to let people win and let these bad things happen all over again. So anyway, that's what I'll leave you with. Not real that hopeful, but sort of. So if you like this review, please hit the like button, comment, share, subscribe, all that rigmarole. Otherwise, we'll be back with the season finale next week. Have a great night. Be kind to each other if you can. And I'll see you next week.